Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. This is going to be a panel that we've done with colleagues. It's a panel. It's the result of thinking together, and that's beautiful. That's always beautiful. So let me introduce you to Dr. Katy Rivas from Mallorca and Dr. Marta Ortega from the University of Barcelona. And basically, our discussion, as it's been said, it will spin around service learning, and Katy will start with the introduction, and we will be talking in bits.
Okay. Good morning. So, good morning, everyone. Closer? Okay, thank you. So, good morning, and thank you for being here. So, we are going to start this out of you. Okay. Okay, now it goes. Okay, thank you. I was waiting for that to start. Okay, so let's go. So basically, this is the contents, the order of the presentation we're going to follow. So it's going to have the following parts: the introduction on what do we understand by service learning, then the national and international literature review explained by Douglas, the national legal framework by Marta, first case study Marta, second case study myself, and conclusions Marta, right? So, service learning is a pedagogical methodology used in educational institutions worldwide. It is based on two main principles: service to the community and the learning of a curriculum by students. At university levels, undergraduate students use the professional skills they are developing to do something for an association or for the community. It is pertinent to explain that service learning, we can change the slide, thank you. Service learning is not volunteering, and it is not an authorized practice of a profession. First, in a volunteering program, students do not put their curriculum into practice as part of a subject for which they get credit. In a service learning project, they do. Volunteers do not have to prove they are developing competencies and reaching expected learning outcomes. In service learning programs, they do. Volunteers do not get assessed individually and or in group as part of the assessment process in a subject. Service learning students do. And second, it is not an authorized practice of a profession, as there is no money involved between the association and the university that teaches the students, and the students are not professionals. They are learning how to do the action, and several meetings and drafts will be necessary until the association receives the desired outcome. So what is service learning? It can be explained with the following graphic by the Centro Latinoamericano de Aprendizaje y Servicio Solidario. The heart refers to the solidary service done to efficiently assist the real needs felt together with the community, not just for the community. And this is why an association is key. The head means the curricular contents and competencies in the professional profile the students develop and put into practice. The hand implies the active protagonism of the students and all the agents involved, from planning to assessment. As mentioned, service learning is not volunteering. That would imply heart and hands. That's to say, there would be no curricular aspect. Service learning is not a practicum, as it would just imply head and hands and not heart. That's to say, the aim of a practicum is to gain professional experience. It does not include doing something for the society. That's solidary service. Service learning refers to the three aspects: heart, head, hands. That is curriculum, practicum, service. Service learning aims, unquote, to instill in students a sense of civic engagement and responsibility and work towards positive social change within society, end quote. The learning improves the service, which gives meaning to the learning. Service learning needs three agents: the community, the teacher or teachers, and the students. These three agents are necessary for a service learning initiative to be successful. Without the association's input and trust, the action would be paternalistic and it would not be a service. Without the teacher's support, the result would be wrong or incomplete, and there would be no learning. Without the students, there would be no action. So the three are equally important and should participate in the reflection process in each step, and their performance should be assessed to make sure all needs are met. So the performance of all the three angles is really important. Service learning is not paternalistic, but fraternal. It implies doing with the community, not for the community. The relation is horizontal, not vertical. The action is born from the needs of the community. The students put their professional knowledge and the skills they are learning to the service of the community, maybe be an association, which has stated the needs they have. The teachers are the link between them. They create a bond with the association, listen to them, and learn about their needs. Then think about options to meet those needs. Ideally, the teacher explains the situation to the students, who think about the action to be taken. Oftentimes, it is the teacher who decides the action. Then the teacher helps the students plan, design, improve, and submit their action or task, while reflecting on all the steps of the process. When the association agrees to it, it is implemented or given. Once finished, the results are analyzed for improvement for future interventions, and reflection is a key component in all the steps and interactions among the members. Next slide, please. The order of the steps may vary depending on the institutions involved and the project itself, but the possible itinerary for a service learning action could be the following: motivation, diagnostic assessment, design and planning, implementation, and celebration and closing. And these transversal aspects are key for a good service learning action: reflection, registration, systematization, and communication, and assessment of the results and of the learning process. Before sharing the examples of service learning in the big and small tertiary institutions, Dulce Ortega will contextualize this methodology.
So I'm going to briefly talk about the literature review that we've carried out to see how service learning has moved from marginal experiment to a mature interdisciplinary field. Service learning has evolved into a powerful pedagogical strategy that bridges academic learning with civic engagement, fostering both personal development and social transformation. Internationally, service learning is increasingly recognized for its capacity to cultivate active citizenship, interdisciplinary competences, and ethical responsibility among students. Over 7 decades, that's a long time, service learning has evolved from scattered pedagogical experiments into a mature, rapidly expanding and interdisciplinary field of research and practice. A recent bibliometric review of 5,815 Scopus index documents between 1950 and 2022 shows that more than 75% of the literature has appeared since 2010, with strong concentrations in social sciences, STEM, and health professions. This growth mirrors global interest in active and experimental pedagogies and signals service learning's consolidation as a credible approach to linking academic knowledge, civil engagement, and socially responsive innovation. Nevertheless, as Button 2006 argues, the institutionalization of service learning within higher education is fraught with challenges. While universities frequently celebrate service learning in mission statements and policy rhetoric, it often remains peripheral, underfunded, and lacking integration into tenure and promotion systems. Button emphasizes the tension between incrementalist approaches such as Foucault's 2002 institutionalization rubric and transformational visions such as the wingspread statement, which calls for radical restructuring of higher education to embedded engagements at its core. These debates highlight the pedagogical, political, and institutional limits that may constrain service learning's potential as a universal model of knowledge transfer and civic renewal. At its core, service learning is classically defined as a course-based, credit-bearing experience that organizes service activities addressing identified community needs and structures reflection to deepen disciplinary learning and civic responsibility. The conceptual underpinnings align with experimental learning complemented by democratic and social learning perspectives. Meta-analysis and systematic reviews consistently report positive outcomes across academic, personal, and civic domains when service learning designs intentionally integrate service, curriculum, and reflective inquiry. Importantly, the global geography of service learning scholarship remains uneven. Roughly 70% of publications originate in the United States and 96% are published in English. Yet, in the past decades, there has been a notable growth from Asia, Africa, and Latin America, including Hong Kong, South Africa, Taiwan, China, Malaysia, etc. The shift offers new opportunities to examine how culture, policy, and local priorities shape service learning designs and outcomes. So the science mapping of the service learning knowledge base reveals 4 interlinked schools of thought, according to Hallinger and Naran, 2024. The first one would be service learning designs and effect, which means the empirical studies that demonstrate that service learning's contributions to identify development, agency, interpersonal competencies, academic learning, and career readiness, along with improved student-faculty relationships and community benefits. There's a second brand based on theory and research, which foundational theories, experimental, democratic, critical, social communities of practice with Freire and Wenger, and methodological frameworks scaffold service learning scholarship informing conceptual clarity, adoption drivers and barriers, and models for institutionalization. The third block would be that devoted to the implementation. The focus would be the research that addresses inclusive and transformative pedagogies, assessment practices, and alignment with the Sustainable Development Goals, pointing to service learning's role in equitable and sustainability-oriented curricula. And finally, a fourth block focusing on the engineering of education, a distinct cluster of scholarship that has adapted project-based service learning to discipline-specific needs, emphasizing real-world problem-solving and community partnerships. So collectively, these strands underscore service learning's interdisciplinary reach, while also highlighting the importance of intentional design, alignment with course outcomes and community needs, structured reflection and long-term partnerships to sustain educational and social impact. So as for the implementation, a consistent theme across national and international studies is that implementation quality determines the degree to which service learning realizes its transformational promise. Evidence from a case study of community academic partnership, CAP, in nursing education shows that mutual benefits across micro students, meso, curriculum, and macro institution and partner levels contribute to program sustainability. Specifically, sustained partnerships are underpinned by formalization, clear agreements, role clarity, realistic scope that Kathy was talking about, guiding frameworks for outcome identification and evolution, faculty support and institutional recognition. So these findings resonate with broader reviews that identify trust, communication, shared mission, and reciprocity as critical to successful CAPs, while cautioning that excessive time demands and resource scarcity can undermine longevity without organizational backing. From a curricular standpoint, robust designs and robust designs integrate service activities with course content, scaffolding, reflection, and cultivating this leadership and agency, thereby enriching both campus and community learning ecosystems. In Europe, the trajectory of service learning has been uneven but increasingly dynamic. Stolino Lozada, 2001, documents the exponential growth of academic publication and service learning since 2000, with Spain emerging as the leading producer of scholarship. European service learning retains its roots in constructivist and experiential learning influenced by Dewey's, both learning by doing, and Freire's critical pedagogy, but also reflects contextual specificities such as its integration with community education and, in Spain, links to traditions of solidarity and civic participation. Initiatives such as the Europe Engage Project 2014, the European Network of Service Learning in Higher Education 2017, the European Observatory of Service Learning in Higher Education in 2019, demonstrate growing institutional coordination. However, as the authors note, Europe exhibits a two-speed landscape. Countries such as Spain and the United Kingdom, Ireland, and Germany show consolidation, whereas others like Austria, Belgium, Portugal are still in the early stages. This uneven development raises questions about sustainability, quality assurance, and the need for methodological rigor in balancing community service with curricular objectives. The Spanish and Catalan context illustrate how service learning has been consolidated through institutional networks, scholarly production, and increasingly legal frameworks. Puig, Batlle, Bosch, Palos, they define service learning as a pedagogical model that unites academic learning with service to community in a single, well-articulated project, emphasizing reflection as a central element that connects service and learning. Aramburu-Zabala, 2013, highlights that service learning as a strategy for integrating the Sustainable Development Goals into higher education curricula, framing it as both an educational innovation and contribution to social transformation. Torrio Lopez et al. In 2013 present a compelling case for service learning within the University of Oviedo. Their study documents a structured service learning initiative in the course Aprendizaje a lo largo de la vida, long-term learning, where first-year pedagogy students design community-based projects addressing local needs. Although full implementation was constrained by time and credit limitations, the experience fostered awareness of social issues, enhanced student motivation, and encouraged the development of civic competences. The authors argue that service learning enables students to connect theoretical content with practical realities, promoting solidarity and reinforcing the university's commitment to social transformation. The Oviedo initiative also highlights the pedagogical value of service learning in developing transversal competencies such as teamwork, project management, and communication. Students reported increased motivation and a stronger sense of belonging to their communities, recognizing their capacity to contribute meaningfully to societal improvement. The experience also emphasized the importance of institutional support and interdisciplinary collaboration in sustaining service learning projects. Recent policy developments provide additional momentum. Marta will talk about that. La Ley Orgánica del Sistema Universitario, LOSU 2023, and the APS-UCAT have served as key elements in linking institutional policy with pedagogical practices. My colleague, Dr. Ortega, will be developing on these two frameworks. So to finish my bits, just another click. Across national and international literatures, service learning is increasingly understood not only as a pedagogy, but as an institutional strategy for knowledge transfer and civic engagement. As, for example, a bridge between university knowledge and community problem solving. Bibliometric evidence suggests that as the field matures, the integration of theory and practice via mixed methods, cross-cultural comparisons, and attention to stakeholder outcomes becomes pivotal for demonstrating public value. Case-based research on CAPs underscores that mutual benefit and formalized partnerships infrastructures are essential for scaling impact and sustaining service learning beyond isolated projects. In Spain and Catalonia, the convergence of policy and networked practice and institutional commitments create fertile conditions for service learning to act as a mechanism of democratic knowledge production, contributing to the 2030 agenda while strengthening the university's social compact. These papers focus on knowledge transfer and socially engaged teaching sits squarely within this international trajectory, while contributing a contextualized European perspective that addresses the geographical imbalance in service learning scholarship highlighted by global reviews. There are some gaps that I'm going to go very briefly through, the gaps and directions relevant to the present study. 3 gaps in the international literature inform our analysis. The first one would be the cultural and contextual variability. Despite recent growth outside Western contexts, there's more and more cross-cultural and comparative studies that are needed and required. A third gap would be the longitudinal and multi-stakeholder evidence. There is a limited long-term tracking of service learning effects on graduates. And then finally, the institutionalization pathways. We have detected that while the frameworks exist, we still lack detailed policy to practice analysis in European systems. So taken together, the international and national literature demonstrates that service learning is not merely a pedagogical technique, but a multifaceted framework at the intersection of education, social responsibility, and institutional mission. While its promise lies in fostering transformative learning and democratic knowledge exchange, its limitations, particularly regarding institutionalization and disciplinary scope, must be addressed if service learning is to become a durable instrument of knowledge transfer in the new university landscape. By situating our case analysis, UB and CESAG, within these gaps, we aim to show how policy instruments, network guides, and reciprocal partnerships translate into curricula, integration, knowledge transfer, and measurable civic and sustainability outcomes.
Thank you. Okay, so this section begins by examining the current legislative framework governing the university system in Spain. As was mentioned before, particular attention is going to be paid to LOSU, which is the current legislation, and it stands for Organic Law of the University System, enacted in 2023, and its implications for the institutionalization of service learning. The LOSU, the law, does not explicitly mandate service learning, but its emphasis on social responsibility, inclusion, and the transfer of knowledge to society creates a favorable environment to institutionalize service learning in Spanish universities. Some articles of the LOSU foster service learning by explicitly encouraging universities to engage their communities in projects that promote democracy, equality, social justice, and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. We can see this in 2 articles. The first one is on the screen. Article 18, which is based on social and territorial cohesion, highlights the importance of collaboration with local administrations and social actors, agents, through mechanisms such as service learning, aiming for equitable and sustainable development in the regions. The second article, which is number 33, on rights related to academic training, recognizes the academic value of student participation in practice in service learning activities, ensuring these experiences are compatible with academic progress and are formally acknowledged. Together, these articles create a supportive legal framework for integrating service learning into university life, connecting academic learning with meaningful social engagement. Similarly, ANECA, Spain's National Agency for Quality Assessment and Accreditation, is a public body responsible for evaluating, certifying, and accrediting the Spanish university system to ensure its continuous improvement and alignment with the European higher education area. While ANECA's main mission is to ensure quality through evaluation and accreditation, it also plays a key role in promoting innovative educational practices such as service learning by, first of all, including service learning in accreditation criteria. ANECA encourages universities to integrate this methodology and community engagement into their degree programs, recognizing these activities as valuable for both academic quality and social impact. The promotion is also through evaluating social responsibility. In its program and institutional evaluations, ANECA assesses how universities contribute to social and territorial cohesion, which includes fostering service learning projects that connect academic learning with real community needs. And finally, by supporting best practices. By highlighting and disseminating successful service learning initiatives during evaluations and through its reports, ANECA helps spread effective models across the Spanish university system. I will now introduce the first case study, which examines the service learning initiative at the University of Barcelona, to which, as we've mentioned, Dr. Dolors Ortega and myself belong. This example illustrates how the practice is not only implemented at a local level, but also embedded within a broader institutional framework. It reflects the existence of a coordinated network that supports and promotes service learning across various departments and faculties, demonstrating the university's commitment to integrating this approach into its wider academic and social mission. I will first refer to APSUCAT, which stands for the Service Learning Network of Catalan Universities, located in the Catalan lands, which is highlighted in red on the map. Established in July 2015, the network brings together, as you can see on the right, 12 Catalan universities with the shared mission of promoting, implementing, evaluating, and institutionalizing service learning within the university environment. The University of Barcelona is a member of APSUCAT. APSUCAT, Service Learning, the Service Learning UB group, defines service learning as a window to reality. The UB Service Learning Group is an interdisciplinary team of members from various faculties and academic fields who share the same common goal, and it's the promotion and expansion of this methodology at the University of Barcelona. Currently, the group includes staff from all the faculties you can see on the screen. It's fine arts, biology, chemistry, social work, economics and business, education, psychology, philology and communication, philosophy, pharmacy and food sciences, computer science and mathematics, and nursing. At the moment, the Service Learning UB group has 3 ongoing projects. You can see here on the screen, it's one is called Sharing Ideas. The other one is a transversal course that I'll explain in a minute. And the last one is the UB Service Learning Chair. The Compartir Ideas, Sharing Ideas, is a series of conference workshops led by undergraduate and master's students from various programs at the University of Barcelona. The sessions focus on general interest topics related to their fields of study, aiming to share knowledge and foster dialogue on subjects which are relevant to secondary school students' education. The program consists of 20-minute informational talks, followed by 30-minute workshops and classroom discussions. Through this initiative, university students engage in meaningful learning while providing a valuable service to the community, addressing youth concerns, neighborhood issues, and real-life experiences, and contributing to a deeper understanding of society. Some of the proposals are presented here on the screen. They are all aligned, of course, with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and are grouped into three thematic areas. The first one, which is letter A, is the artistic field. The second one, B, the social and humanistic field. And then the last one is the area of the scientific and technical field. Each area, as you can see, you've got the list of all the proposals. Each area includes a variety of conference workshops, as I said, delivered and designed and delivered by university students, addressing varied topics such as mental health and emotional well-being, environmental sustainability, gender equality, digital literacy, ethical dilemmas in science, social justice, artistic expression, and the role of art in social transformation, among many others. These workshops encourage active participation through debates, creative activities, problem-solving exercises, allowing secondary students to engage with university-level content in a dynamic and accessible way. The second project that this group at the University of Barcelona is currently offering, thank you very much, is this transversal course, which is called Service Learning, Commitment and Social Transformation. It's been offered since the academic year 2023 to 2024. And it's been offered to students from various degree programs at the University of Barcelona. I'm going to explain briefly the experience from this 2023-2024 edition, in which students addressed an a real challenge, an environmental challenge caused by pollution at the beach in Sant Adrià de Besòs, municipality located in the metropolitan area of Barcelona. The community partners involved in the project, there were several. It was quite a wide project, where AIRANET, local environmental group from Sant Adrià de Besòs, focused on air quality and pollution awareness. Plataforma Tres Xemeneies, a civic platform advocating for sustainable urban development and the preservation of the area around the iconic three chimneys. The Associació de Veïns, the neighborhood association of Sant Joan Baptista, which is the particular neighborhood where this issue is taking place. So they represent inhabitants of that neighborhood involved in community engagement and local advocacy. Also, Área Verda, which is an organization dedicated to promoting green spaces and ecological awareness in urban environments, and also a secondary school, Manuel Vázquez Montalbán, that collaborated with university students. These partnerships reflect a strong community-university collaboration, allowing students to engage directly with local stakeholders and contribute to real-world environmental and social challenges. And the third and last project of the Service Learning UB University of Barcelona group is the Service Learning Chair. It was established in 2023 with the goal of promoting actions that support the institutional consolidation of service learning at the University of Barcelona. They have like three main areas, which include training, research, and knowledge transfer. Regarding training, they support faculty and students in the design and implementation of quality service learning projects. They offer workshops, courses, and resources to support the development of this methodology. And they also promote the interdisciplinary collaboration and the curricular integration of service learning. Regarding research, they are advancing academic research on service learning practices and their impact. They encourage studies that address social challenges through community-based learning. And they publish, of course, their findings and contribute to the national and international discourse. And finally, they have another area, another goal, which is that of knowledge transfer by facilitating collaboration between the university and external community partners. Also by ensuring that service learning projects respond to real community needs through co-design and co-implementation, and by sharing best practices and outcomes with broader educational and civic networks. And now Dr. Rivas is going to talk about a case study.
Thank you, Dr. Thank you, Marta. So I work at the CESAG in Mallorca, and that's a university college affiliated to Comillas Pontifical University in Madrid. So I will briefly introduce these two institutions and the way we tackle service learning. So Comillas is a Jesuit university based in Madrid. There are 6 Jesuit universities in Spain: Comillas, Deusto, ESADE, EQS, Loyola, and SAFA. There are 28 in Europe and the Near East, and more than 130 around the world. The network of Jesuit universities is called UNIGES. Have it there. And they share the same approach to teaching and learning, which implies both an ongoing effort to accompany and form competent, compromised, conscious, and compassionate people, professionals, and citizens, end quote. UNIGES published a collection of Ignatian University pedagogy notebooks, one of which is devoted to service learning. This pedagogy is based on the Ledesma-Koppelbank paradigm for learning at university level, which has 4 main aspects: utilitas, justitia, humanitas, and fides. These are Latin words. The first one, utilitas, has a practical dimension, basically focused on the development of the curriculum, the contact with the real world, the competencies for employability. It also has the second one, justitia, a social dimension. This one focuses on the attitudes and social skills, the ethical reflection, the active compromise, the responsible and civic engagement. The third aspect is humanitas, so humanistic dimension. This one is focused on critical, analytical, and reflexive thinking, empathy and emotional development, and the reinforcement of personal identity. And the last one, the fides, is the meaning dimension. So a holistic vision of a person and of their agency in the world and in history. The methodology of service learning meets the criteria of the Ledesma-Koppelbank paradigm, and the university has been implementing it for years. But since in 2003, created a specific area devoted to service learning as part of the Teaching Innovative Support Service, because the ANECA and the LOSU make an effort to implement it. So that way it was easier to work on it in the different faculties. The CESAG is an acronym. Change, please. Thank you. The CESAG stands for University College Alberta Jiménez, both in Catalan and in Spanish. And since its origins, it has been key to education of girls and women in Mallorca, as it was the first faculty for female teachers in the Balearic Islands. In 1872, the Escuela Normal de Maestras was created. Due to several legislative changes, its name and affiliation changed over the years. So in 1948, its legal name became Escuela de Magisterio de la Iglesia La Pureza. In 1974, it became a university college affiliated to the University of Barcelona. In 1978, when the University of the Balearic Islands was created, it was affiliated to this one. And since 2004, we are affiliated with Comillas Pontifical University. Now, in 2000, the faculties that we have are education, of course. This is the first one and why we start. we started. Then in 2005, communication, and it then changed from Escuela de Magisterio to University College. And it was the first and only faculty in the Balearics to teach journalism, media studies, and also marketing and public relations. We are still the only one. In 2016, the Faculty of Sports Science was established, and it was also the first one. And in 2022, the Faculty of Nursing was launched. CESAG is a small university college. We only have about 700 students, but this is also our strength. Teachers, most of us know the students by name, and students are engaged in the activities that we suggest and we propose to them. We have been doing service learning for years without giving it its name. Service learning is also key in comillas, as we mentioned. So now we receive lots of support and resources to implement it in full. In fact, while doing their degrees, our students do a diploma in personal, communicative, and professional skills, and one of the subjects is service learning. Currently, all our students do or will do service learning during their studies. We are changing our approach to service learning as being part of subjects, not the subject as such, which makes it easier for the associations, the teachers, and the students to work together. I'm going to mention two examples from two different faculties. In 2021, several teachers in the Faculty of Sports Science, remember it was started in 2016, did a research project titled Service Learning Existing While Ensuring No One is Left Behind. And second and third year students in sports science and fourth year students of primary education with the specialization of sports were involved. In their first approach to Caritas, the association, the teachers suggested working with women who had survived domestic violence, but Caritas recommended working with adult Senegalese men to teach them how to swim, and on the other hand, with a group of boys and girls in risk of social exclusion. The project changed to fulfill the needs of the association, logically. The participation of the undergraduate students in the project was voluntary. In the final analysis, Caritas valued the two projects as very positive experiences. So did the adult men who learned to swim and the children in primary education. And all the undergraduate students who participated in the project also valued the experience as very positive. The analysis of this experience can be found in these two publications. This first research project opened the path in this degree. The service learning is now offered every year and is led by Isabel Martin, who is the coordinator of service learning in the CESAG. As mentioned before, service learning, we are changing the approach, and as it was done in several subjects, what without the framework and the name. Another case study is in the degree of media studies. There are two subjects called media report, one, and the second one, documentary and other non-fiction forms. Students have to do a final project, which consists of writing and filming their project. The teacher of these subjects is Ricardo Mlona, a well-known documentary director who specializes in the creation of cultural projects that relate arts with illness and the health sector. When talking about doing service learning, both the coordinator and the teacher realized that his actions in these subjects followed all the steps of service learning, but it lacked a name. So let me explain what he does. Last academic year's project was done in collaboration with a local health program in the Balearic Islands called Active Patient. So representatives of the program and some patients came to the CESAG and met the students. And they explained the different illnesses they suffer. So networking groups were created and started to work to make a documentary on them. Students wrote the scripts and did the whole process of pre-production, production, and post-production of the films. These short documentaries were made with patients with Crohn's disease, the first one, chronicle, and with a survivor of breast cancer, titled Toto Shakateng, the second one. If some of you want, we can watch some clips at the end, but I will not include them because they are in Catalan and Spanish and they don't have subtitles in English. The documentaries premiered at the CESAG in an event that was open to the whole community, and patients and family members were invited to the event. And after watching the documentaries, there was a round table. This was called The Voices of the Patients, Les Veus del Pacient Actiu. The main step for service learning action is to create the bond with an organization or association in the community. So we learn about their needs and wishes and find ways to help them. This takes time, and the students have to be willing to participate. This is why some projects are voluntary, while others are compulsory. As mentioned before, reflection is a key part of the service learning methodology, as the students are usually deeply moved by their experiences and the interaction with the organizations and some of their members. Similar projects to this, called Unbreakable, next one please, Unbreakable or People With, were done in previous years with different foundations. 1 year with two associations that help people with severe mental problems and with their families. Other with patients who suffer inherited or autoimmune diseases, such as the Andrade illness, which is an illness that affects 10,000 patients all over the world, 350 being in Spain, and of those, 150 are in the Balearic Islands. Patients with fibromyalgia, a long-term condition that involves widespread body pain, people with multiple sclerosis, an autoimmune disease that causes breakdown of the protection covering of nerves, a patient who received a heart transplant, and many more. Service learning methodology has a deep impact in the society, and it is worth the effort to implement it in class.
Okay, and to conclude, we would like to mention that we believe service learning is challenging for all the agents involved. Challenges include, for example, the time to build strong relationships with community organizations. Also, teachers and students may have to do actions after work or classes, and they all need to adapt to a different audience or different audiences. However, the social and personal benefits outweigh the difficulties, as this is a way for organizations to become more known and for teachers and students to reach and give back to the community. Also, we believe it is important not to confuse service learning initiatives with other types of activities, as we've mentioned before in the introduction, such as volunteering with NGOs or charities. We have realized that some university programs incorporate service learning more frequently, while the humanities tend to have fewer projects. Thanks to support from the new university legislation, there may be a growing trend towards implementing service learning projects. And just to finish, we would like to say that by situating service learning within both academic innovation and public policy, the Spanish case demonstrates how universities can hold national and regional frameworks to consolidate service learning as an institutionalized mechanism for civic engagement and knowledge transfer. Thank you very much.
So I think we've left 15 minutes we know that in the audience, we've heard, you've told us that there are other examples, that there are people here who've been working in service learning projects, and we would be very happy if they could share them with us. So we open the floor to those voices who want to share their experiences with us.
Hello. In some other universities, there are different terminologies in service learnings. But the concern here is that it involves the student, the faculty, and the administration, right? And then when you involve the students, it's very difficult to take them outside the university because you need to do some, what do you call, you need to take care of them, and then their safety, because you need to they are being exposed for some scenario. How do you arrange these things in your university? Thank you.
Well, in general, what we've been told with all these cases that we've been in contact, there is more and more institutional support, and the triangular paperwork is done by the administration. So insurances, contracts, and everything. It's slow, but it seems that the law and the legal framework is fostering this kind of activity. So there's hope. It's been so far, it's been, 70 years now, but it's been a long journey. We guess we were not even on the track, but we've heard about it and we know about the difficulties. And it seems that there's an institutional intention to foster these activities. So there's hope. That's what we.
Exactly. There's more support now. So one of the main actions the teacher has to do to start doing this is have an agreement with the association. In this agreement, there's the insurance of the students if something happens, and there's the kind of rules and regulations. What can we do, what we cannot do? Also, because the people who go to the associations, many don't want to have their names revealed, for example, or exposed. So there's also the data protection, personal data protection, and that's also regulated in the agreements. Then in our case, for example, in the media, usually the association and the patients who come to the university for the first time, then meet. Then when the project is kind of final in a way or presentable, then it's shown, it's shared with the association and with the patients, and they agree to participate or not. So it's done in collaboration all the time. And the same for the research project that was done in sports science. It was the association who decided, yes, we want you to help us with this. So for example, with the adult Senegalese men, they went to a specific swimming pools, okay? And the university paid for the tickets for them to enter. So they didn't have to register in the pools, okay? So that was forward. It was not an expense for the members of the association, okay? And the same for the kids in risk of exclusion. The students met them at the association. So they felt comfortable in that environment. They are already facing several difficulties. So there was no point in asking them to come to the university. So it's always how to help the association and the members in the association so they are comfortable. But the agreement is very important to establish the terms and conditions of what the students can do and what cannot do, and what the members can do. And now there's that legal support from the Ministry of Education. So, well, the law. So that's hopefully there will be more and more actions done.
And there's a previous consideration that we need to take into account. It's time consuming. It needs time. So departments need to take that into account too. So that's another difficulty.
Thank you for your presentation. Service learning to me is really important as an educator, especially in higher ed. I guess my question to you is that how are you finding the university creating the culture? Are they embedding service learning more in the curriculum, or are they creating sort of courses, right, for students to take? I just wonder what are the different sort of avenues that the university, at least here in Spain, are sort of creating that culture.
Can we go back to the slides? Well, we can talk about the case of the University of Barcelona, and we can talk about that particular, let's see if we can find that slide. This one. Okay, thank you very much. There are like two projects going on. This one, exactly. We have this project, which is currently going on. In this group from the University of Barcelona, the service learning group from the University of Barcelona, most of the faculties are involved, but up to now, it's been something, I guess, that, lecturers themselves felt like, participating in these projects. Well, we have this possibility of sending students to high schools, okay, to present all these conferences on these topics that may be of interest to them, okay? And then they have also to prepare materials for the workshops and so on and so forth. And then we have the other project. Sorry, I'm sorry. Which is this transversal course, which is an optional subject, okay, which is offered to students from different faculties, but it is an optional course. So, for example, in this experience that I explained before about the pollution on the beach and so on and so forth, there were 11 universities involved, 11 faculties involved, and 20 students decided to do so. It is a very recent initiative. It just started a couple of courses ago, so we need to see how it progresses and evolves. But we have the feeling that now with this new legislation and all this, support, service learning is going to be more present, and we believe it's good, it's a win-win for the community, for university students. There is a video where we didn't show it either because it's in Catalan and Spanish and it didn't make sense, but students explained the experience about this transversal course, and they were so enthusiastic because they said, in class, we talk about abstract things. And then when we went to the high school or we went and talked to the neighborhood associations and so on and so forth, it was so exciting and so meaningful because we were, bringing our knowledge to society and trying to, find solutions to different needs. So we'll see how, but we really, believe and wish this methodology becomes more and more present in our teaching in general.
Yeah. And at our university, I think that there's a gap that this chair that Marta was talking about, La Cátedra APS, is doing this volunteering work, or colleagues, a bunch of colleagues working together, which is having an acknowledgement from the institution lately. And I think that from there, new teacher training plans are going to be fostered. That's something that we need and we lack. Okay, how many teachers we have, how many lecturers we have at the department that they are not familiar with these methodologies, and how all those possibilities are there. And now that there seems to be a reinforcing institutional support, we're expecting to see new changes.
And in my university, which is small, first we had the subject, but it was very hard to organize because there are lots of students with different needs. Some of them had difficulties facing some of the issues talked about. So this is why it's changing now to several subjects. So it's easier. You have more time as a teacher. You have more time to get the students do their projects and time to process all the information and everything they are learning, because it's not just the technical side, it's more the emotional side that changes them. And the students need time to process all that and to reflect. Reflection is such a key part of service learning. So we are changing into part of subjects, and sometimes even more than one subject. And that's even better because you have more time. Students have more time to work on their projects. Thank you.
Oh, it's an online question. Okay, apparently we have an online question. It's from Chebum Bang. They're asking, at the dental school in Korea, I require students to complete a certain number of hours of community service before graduation. We require a total of 320 hours of service by graduation. After hearing today's presentation, I realized that it's necessary to break this down into specific areas, medical, labor, volunteer work, etc., and turn it into a project with a specific tangible outcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that information. We see after the literature review, we could analyze, we could understand how, you know, from different quarters in the world, there are practices that are being implemented. So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Can you share any examples you do like that in your university?
Well, it's basically, I mean, it's basically what we have explained. This is what is going on at the moment. I mean, maybe it doesn't look like too much, but this is it. This is what is going on. And yeah, we got an award. That's true. Yeah. Well, we have to confess something. Dr. Ortega and myself, also Dr. Ortega, we are not sisters or anything. It's just a coincidence. We just have accessed, you know, this group. When was that? In July, maybe? And the idea is that as representatives of this service learning project from our faculty, which is philology and communication. So in fact, we have not had time to implement it. We've met several times and you know, we're learning. And just yesterday, we, you know, the group received an award from the Generalitat de Catalunya, from the Catalan government. It was just yesterday, and there's going to be money to finance, you know, the promotion of this. So we really believe there is a new path in front of us, and I don't know, we should meet in a few years' time so that we could tell you what has happened and what we've been able to do and how we've convinced, you know, all the members of the staff and other colleagues to participate in this exciting, you know, project.
And let me tell them, Marta, that we have things in mind. So our next, let's say, goal would be to apply service learning to end of degree thesis and master's thesis. So promoting these pedagogies within those projects. That's going to be this year. So next year we might be here telling you about it.